So let's take a look at basic navigation in Psykdesk. I'm going to log into Psykdesk, and I'm brought to the calendar page. This is the page that is set up as my default page for my user. So let's explore the various pieces of the Psykdesk real estate here. Over on the left-hand side, if I click on these three bars, I am shown the main menu for Psykdesk. And this shows all of the features and functions that I can perform based upon my security setup. Moving to the right, this search area allows me to search for patients by typing in the name. So for example, if I wanted to look at Erica Minks, I can start typing her name and it's pulled up right there. I can also type in the first couple characters of her first name and last for searching as patients as well. So there's a whole bunch of different options to start typing to search for patients. And that's where you'll find your patients 99% of the time on that search patients area. Moving over to the right, there are some menu icons. The first one is chat. So if I click chat, I will bring up the chat window and it'll show me various conversations that I'm having. Now, chat only works with members of the practice. This is not how you communicate with patients. These are just people internally to the staff. And so I can have conversations in real time as perhaps when I'm seeing a patient or doing other things as well. The next item here is messages. So messages is the secure way that I can communicate with patients. And patients who have a portal account who are logged in can view these messages securely, and they can have a conversation back and forth with their provider or a group of people within the organization, such as an admin provider or two providers, etc. Moving to the right, I have issues that have been assigned to me. There's an issue tracking system built into Psykdesk, which I can attach issues to various items such as patients or encounters or ERAs or claims, etc. Those issues that are assigned to me will show up here, and I can click on that and view open issues, new issues, etc., and drill in directly to view those issues. The next icon here is notifications, and this lets me know when various events happen within the system. For example, when a patient checks in, I'll get a notification, or when there's been a modification to an issue that I'm either assigned to or requested on, I can set the system up to get notifications there as well. These notifications are in Psykdesk here, but I can also receive emails or text messages based upon configuration when those notifications occur. And then finally here, there's some settings that I can configure for my user login. So if I click my name and the settings, I'm brought to this page and I can see where I can maintain the picture that's associated with my account, notification information for check-ins, telehealth information, and some chat options as well. Let's take a look at the Psykdesk calendar. Starting at the right-hand side, you'll see all of the users in the systems who have calendars. The providers will be up top in the providers section, which you can expand and contract. Administrators who also have calendars will be in this bottom section below. To view a calendar in the main section, you select the checkbox. So currently I'm logged in as Jay Taylor. I'm seeing my calendar. But based upon my security settings and my user setup, I can see other people's calendars. For example, I can see David's calendar as well if I click on David's calendar. And I'll see David and my calendar side by side. And this is kind of how scheduling would work. So if I want to see multiple providers at once to see what they have on their calendars and see various availability options, which I can schedule someone, this would be the primary way to do it. Let's look at the different ways we can navigate our calendar. So starting on the right here, I can choose to see my calendar in a week view, a day view, or a month view. And then depending upon what view I have set up, I can scroll through the various items of that view. So I have a week currently set up. I can scroll through my weeks to take a look at different weeks. And if I have days set up, I can scroll through the days and months, etc. So let's go back to week view and go to today, clicking the today button. I can also go to a day view from the week view by clicking on the day number at the top of the week view. So So let's go back to week. If I want to see just for the 20th, I can click on the 20th and bring the day view up as well. And this also works from the month view. So I can navigate to a particular day in the month. I can click the day and I can show the day view for the calendar. Now on the day view, you also have the option to view the encounters for a particular day using the encounters console. So let's go back to the week view. I say I have encounters on the 20th. I can click on the 20th and then I can say view encounters. This will show me all of the encounters for that day, but I can see it in the console and I can scroll through the various encounters to view them. Let's go back to the calendar and let's go to the week view. On the right hand side, I can also see a month view of the calendar, no matter what view I'm currently showing. And I can use this month view to navigate through the calendar as well. I can also select different days, different months to go through the calendar. Then I can go back to today to see today. Let's review adding a new event to the calendar. So to add an event, I navigate to the place on the calendar that I want to add the event. So if I want to add a new event for today, which is the 21st at 12:30, I will go to the 12:30 slot and click inside the calendar there. By doing that, it'll automatically populate the time and the date for the event based upon where I clicked. But I can also always modify that by clicking on the time and changing it here as well. So I can change the begin time and end time. I can also change the time by actually selecting the time that I want and typing in the time. So for example, if I wanted to start this at 12:15 and to go to 12:55, then I could make those changes as well by actually manually changing the time. There are three types of events that I can add. There's an encounter, which is an event between a patient and a provider. There is a personal event, which is events that are just for me as the user, such as PTO or any other personal event that I want to add to my calendar. And I can also add events of type available, which creates my availability schedule, letting schedulers know at what times in my calendar that I want particular items scheduled. So for now, let's go ahead and create a new encounter. To do that, I would select the encounter and I would select the service for which the encounter is for. Now these services are all configurable. These are the ones that I have currently set up in my system. And I'm going to choose a base eval. The patient I'm going to choose for is Erica, and the provider is going to be J. Taylor, which is me, and I'm going to click Save. So now that just saved that event at the appropriate time. To view the event that I just saved or any other event that's scheduled, I can click on it, and I can get a quick view of what that looks like. Now there are some icons up here that I can navigate into the various items to get more details. So if I click the Edit button here, I can go and edit the event, changing items like its location, patient, etc., time, date. I can also choose to navigate directly to the encounter from the event. This will bring up the encounter that I created for that event. Let's go back. Clicking on the event that I created, and I can also navigate to the patient's chart from here as well. So let's go back. I'm going to add a new personal event as well. So I just added an encounter. Let's say I have a vacation coming up on Friday. I'm going to leave early. I'm going to create a personal day. I'm going to block my calendar. And it's going to start from 1, and I want it to go all the way to the end of day. 6 p.m., save. So now I have a personal item there as well. And I can also show availability by creating an availability event. So let's say I wanted to add to indicate that I'm available for testing here. I click the availability schedule. I'll select the appropriate group, do a testing intake, save, and that says that now I'm available for 8:30. Actually, I wanted to make it the entire hour, so I'll click on it again, hit edit, and we'll go all the way to 9 for 1 hour and hit save. On my calendar, I also have some filters on the right-hand side towards the bottom, which will allow me to filter events on the calendar based on type and some other criteria. So let's take a look at them now. This first one here is showed canceled, and this is turned off by default. But if I click this on, it'll show me not only the events on my calendar, but the events that have been canceled as well. So for example, this encounter has been canceled. You can see by the red bar there that it's in a canceled status. And by clicking the filter for cancels on and off, I can choose to show that or not show that on my calendar. I can also choose to show the encounters or not show the encounters on my calendar, the personal items or not show the personal items. And I can also choose to show my availability schedule as well. Let's take a moment to review how availability scheduling works. So the first step is for the provider to go to their calendar and indicate what slots are available for what type of service. So I've already done that. This section or this slot I would like to set aside for testing. This slot I'd like to set aside for intake or feedback. And so the provider will go through and indicate on their calendar in various slots as far as what they would like scheduled. Now the scheduler will come back and look at the slots and will schedule the appropriate service based upon what has been indicated. So for example, I'm the scheduler. I would like to go and schedule a feedback session where the provider has indicated they would like this schedule. To do that, I highlight the space next to the available event and click it. Then I can select the service. I want to do a feedback. I'll choose a 45-minute feedback. Again, this is going to be for Erica, and save it. Now, if you watch, that encounter now will fill that space where that slot previously was, and then the slot that's left over, that space is indicated based upon the amount of time that's left over for that slot. Now I can go back and look at our filter for the show available and then show scheduled. So if you notice, this particular encounter has filled the slot that was indicated by the availability schedule. If I remove everything else, the encounters and the personal events from the calendar, this space is empty because there's an encounter that was booked over the slot. But if I select show schedule, I can see what my availability schedule looked like before I started booking events over it. So the show schedule option shows the complete schedule. If I click it off, it will show what has not been booked yet in my availability schedule. And so those are the two options. The schedule as far as what slots are still open, and then the entire schedule. You can also create an event that repeats. So let's see how to do that. So let's say I wanted to schedule a repeating encounter that reoccurs every Tuesday, every other week. So let's start. The first appointment is going to be at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Let's click that. And then select more options. And in the more options page, I go to the action menu, which is these three dots up here, and select repeat. This brings up the repeat dialog box. So I can repeat this particular event weekly. I can repeat it daily, monthly, or yearly. So in this instance, I want to choose weekly. I want to repeat every 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I want to repeat this every 2 weeks. And I want to do it on Tuesday, and then there's an end date when the repeat stops. So basically the way I have it set up now is I'm going to repeat a weekly event that repeats every 2 weeks on Tuesday. and then it ends at 9/21/2023. And you can do all kinds of different options for the repeats. So let's see, I'm going to do Erica again, and I am going to schedule a therapy for 30 minutes, hit save, and this will recreate an automatic repeat on my calendar. So now Erica's there on that Tuesday. She's not on the following week, but she is on the week after. Let's take a look at consoles in Psykdesk. Now there are different types of items inside of Psykdesk, such as patients, encounters, charges, claims, ERAs, etc. Consoles give the ability to query and work with items of a particular item type. So if I wanted to see patients, I would bring up the patients console and I could explore my patients information using the console. Same thing for encounters, same thing for any of these items here as well. So let's take a look at the issues console and take a look at the makeup of it. So the issues console has a couple different sections that make up the layout. This center large section is where the results of your query will be displayed. On the right hand side is how you run your various queries to get your data back. And there are three different types of ways you can do that. There's views, a custom or ad hoc way to run a query, and then a search. Not all consoles have searches, but the issues one does. Let's look at views. So the views tab represents queries that you run often. Views are customizable, so you can add or create views as needed or change some of the ones that have been delivered with your Psykdesk system. The custom tab is used to run queries more of an ad hoc basis. So these are queries that you don't run all the time, but you may want to run every once in a while to explore your data. For example, if I wanted to take a look at all issues that were created within a particular period, I can pull this up, give me all issues that were created in the month of March, hit search, and this will bring me back the issues that were created in the month of March. And finally, there is a tab here for search. It's just basically free form. You type in, and this will find any issue that has the word that you put in there, in this case, patient. So it'll find any issue that has patient in the header or in the body. Now, when you run a view or a custom query or hit search, the results of that query will come back into this middle section. So currently right now, I have 4 items in this section as the results of my query. To view each item, I can click on it. And if you'll notice, the data kind of flips so that the 4 items that I had selected in the middle of the screen now appear in the right-hand side with the first one selected, and the details of that issue are now in the middle of my console. And I can navigate to other issues by clicking on the list on the right-hand side to view those issues. I can flip back into the table mode of my console, and again, here are the 4 issues that were returned. So then I can go and take a look at my open issues, look at my new issues. Let's take a look at those issues in more detail. Okay, there's one. I'm going to scroll down the list. And so the console allows me to navigate the data for this particular console type. And all the consoles work pretty much the same. So let's take a look at some other consoles. This is the encounter console. And some of the views that deliver the system are such as those encounters that are ready to bill, some encounters that have not been checked in, that have been aged 7 days, not sent to billing, aged 33 days. So each console has different views and features. Claims, here's the claims that are new, claims that are canceled, claims that have been acknowledged or rejected. Let's get in ERAs. ERAs that are new from the exchange that are ready to be posted, ERAs that have partial payment, etc. And I should also note that in the console, these items can be sorted as well. So if you want to sort by a column, you just click on it. The first time you click, it sorts ascending, descending, or no sort at all. I'll also point out in the results of the console that you may get back more than what's actually displayed here. So for example, I'm showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items in the result because items per page is 5. Now I can page through the items that came back, which is 33. So now I'm showing 16 of 20 of 33. So that's one way to view the items that come back in more of a bulk fashion. You can also change the items per page, so I can now see 10 items per page or 20 items per page, and then I can page through it as well. Consoles also allow you to export the results set of your data to a CSV file, which you can load into Excel. So to do that, you go to the Action menu and select Export to CSV. Let's take a look at the patient's chart. I'm going to look for Erica Jacobs' chart, so I can type in ERJA. There's Erica. I'm going to pull her up by clicking on her. And this is her chart. There are several components of it. Let's go across the tabs on top. So first is the billing tab. This shows me all of the charges and payments for the particular patient. And there's different views for that. You can see the charges tab here, payments here, and you can see all the transactions in chronological order here, which were created to create these balances. And then the transactions tab gives you a more detailed view of all the different components that make up those balances. Over here on the right is the action menu for billing, and this is where you can create patient payments. You can also create payer payments, refunds, a payer refund, create a credit, create a write-off, an adjustment, and you can also print patient invoices and super bills here as well. Let's take a look at the billing setup tab. This is where you'll add and maintain insurance information or invoice payer information as well. I can click here on a insurance that's already been added. I can see information details for that particular payer. Clicking here is eligibility information, so I can run eligibility for a particular payer here as well as see history for the payer. Let's go back. You can also maintain credit cards here on the billing setup as well, prior authorizations, patient cash rates. These are rates specific for the patient. You may have negotiated a specific deal for a patient, as well as the referring provider that gets set up in the claim. The schedule tab is where you'll see all of the encounters that have been scheduled for this patient. And it's broken up into future encounters in the future as well as encounters in the past. And you expand these two sections to see future and past. The About tab shows you personal information about the patient, so you can see their name, legal gender, address, phone number, etc. You can also maintain identifications here, such as adding a license or a driver's license to the patient. Lists allow you to put patients into various lists to manage them. For example, you may have a waiting list that you want to add a patient to and manage it using lists. Contacts is where you manage contacts. So there's a whole bunch of different contacts you can manage or different types. You can add comments to the patient here. You can also view the diagnoses that have been attached to this patient, as well as the providers who have been scheduled with this patient and currently have access to the patient. If you are using the e-prescription integration that we have within Psykdesk, that integration will pull back information in the medical tab. This includes medications the patient is on, any allergies, so diagnoses that are coming from that exchange, and prescription information as well. The Documents tab is where you maintain the patient's documents. So you can attach any type of file to the patient's record here as well, and there's an unlimited amount of space that you can use here, as well as an unlimited amount of number of files you can attach here. Below that is the forms that the patient has filled out via the patient portal. And these are the completed forms, and you can view them by clicking on them and viewing the various forms that have been filled out by the patient. Below that is the notes that have been filled out for the patient. And these notes are for all encounters that the patient has ever had. So you can see all of the notes listed here holistically for the patient, and you can click on those notes to view the notes as well. Continuing to the right, we have any issues that have been associated with the patient, so you can view all those issues in context with the patient's record. Any messages that have been created, which includes the patient. These are secure messages that will be viewable by the patient on the patient portal. You'll have portal information here as well. So this is the portal user that has been attached to this patient, and you can see that on this tab. And then finally, the History tab, which shows all of the transactions that have occurred against the particular patient's chart. Let's look at the action menu in Psykdesk. Now, almost every page inside of Psykdesk has an action menu, and this is the place where you'll perform all of the actions that are available for a particular page. So, for example, on the patient's chart on the About tab, I'm going to edit some profile information. So I click Edit. And if you'll notice, the action menu is right here. So it is usually consisted of a button and then 3 vertical dots, which shows you additional actions you can choose from. So these are all the available actions on this page. I can save it, I can inactivate the patient, or I can view documentation. So all of the items, the button and the drop-down menu, they're all the actions you can perform. The action that you perform the most often will be the button, and the actions that you perform not as often will be in the menu drop-down. The Save button, or some actions, will only be available at certain times. So in this particular page, the Save will only highlight if you change something and if the patient information is valid. So right now the Save is grayed out. I will make a change, and if you notice, the Save button now is highlighted blue. I can click that and save the information on Erica's chart. Let's go change it again. We'll put the middle initial back. I can save it one more time. The thing to note, though, is that all the edit checks have to pass, and the patient information has to be valid for that button to be highlighted. So, for example, date of birth is a required field. If I click that out, the Psykdesk will let you know that that field, there's something wrong with it by highlighting it red. And also the Save button is now grayed out, so you can't save it. You can only save it if all the information is correct. Let's put a date back in there, and now I can save that button. One of the things to note is that these asterisks on these fields are indicating that those fields are required. So if your Save button is grayed out, definitely take a look to make sure that you've filled out all the required fields on a page. And that's probably the reason why your Save button is not being highlighted as saved. So let's go ahead and save that information. And that action button is available throughout the system. So again, on any page, if I take a look at issues, for example, I can pull up an issue. And here is the action menu for issues. Again, it's in the same location, the upper right hand, and those are the actions that I can do on that particular page. You might see actions on a console in this area as well. There's some actions you can do there as well. Let's go to encounters. Some actions will only be available based upon the view you select. So on the encounters page, if I say ready to bill for claims, now create claims is in the upper right hand corner on the action menu, and if I select an encounter to create a claim for, now it's available. Let's take a look at some of the pieces of the patient portal. So what you're seeing right now is the Psykdesk application, which is used by providers, administrators, managers, etc. There's also a patient portal, which is the application the patients will use. And this is what it looks like right now. So let me sign into the patient portal and let's take a look at what it looks like. Now the patient portal, just like the rest of Psykdesk, will morph to the particular device it's on. So the form factor for your phone, it'll morph to that if you're using a mobile device. If we're using an iPad, it'll change that as well. So right now I have it set up as a iPhone, but for example, if you had it on your iPad, it would look like this. If you had it on your desktop, it would look like this. And this is again what it looks like on a patient's phone. So let's go through the different components. There's a task section here. This is where the patient would complete their tasks, such as entering their personal information, insurance information, or intake forms. They could also view and send secure messages in this section. They could make payments off of the patient portal. They can view appointments as well as check in online at the patient portal. They can view documents that have been shared with them from their patient's chart, as well as upload documents. And they can check in using the patient portal here if the encounter is set up for telehealth. So if I click on tasks, these show me all of the different tasks that they can fill out on the portal, as well as the status. So right now all these tasks are complete, but if I wanted to update my patient information, it would walk me through this wizard. Are you the patient? Yes. Enter personal information, so I can enter this information on my iPhone. I could take a picture of the information if I wanted to. I could enter my patient's address, phone information, emails, and I could let them know if I want, if the patient, as a patient, if I want to receive notifications and what phone numbers those will be from. The check-in pin is for the, if you want to use the kiosk that comes with Psykdesk, allowing patients to check in from the front desk. This is the pin they will use to check in. And I can save my information. So that's my patient information. I can save contact information. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and add a contact. Jill Jones. Relation to the patient will be the mother. Contact address will skip. Contact phones 555-4. Contact emails if I wanted to add an email. Patient contact information here. Do I want to receive notifications for those contacts? Yeah, all of them I want to receive a notification for a reminder on when an appointment is coming up. And then added my contact information. Let's take a look at insurance. Do you have insurance? Yes. I can enter my insurance information here. Subscriber number, group number. I can also take a picture of my insurance cards. So I can take a picture, it'll pull up a camera, and I can take a picture of the front and back of my cards. I can also put in subscriber information here if the patient is not the subscriber. I can also enter secondary insurance information here. And then based upon the forms that I've attached to the patient's portal user, they may have some forms to fill out. So there's a credit card form to fill out. Okay, I gotta enter change my card. I can put in card information here as well. A COVID screener I happen to have here, so I created this form they can fill out regarding the COVID screener. Consent for therapy. So they can fill out this consent form. They have some information to check. Electronic signature, next. And telehealth consent. So those are examples of some tasks. For messages, if there is a message from my particular provider, I can get that here. Please make sure that you pay your balance for next payment. Sure thing. I'll pay now. And again, those are the instant messages that can go back and forth. They can also create payments online. So if there's any payments outstanding, they can pay their patient balance, their credit card right there. Any appointments that are upcoming in the future or in the past as well, they can see their appointments. Any documents that are shared, they can see those here. I can also upload documents. And then check in. If I have any appointments that are in the future, I can have check in. I can also go right into and start my video session here as well.